In what can be described as another fresh attack on the plateau, some communities of Mangu local government area have experienced yet another attack that led to the loss of lives of 14 persons. That's on the sad note. And again, the Revenue Mobilization and Fiscal Allocation Commission is proposing 114% increment for public office holders. This is Nigeria Now on Ekwa Television International. My name is Joyce Jakarta. We're live on Facebook and YouTube at Ekwa Television International. I'm not doing this alone. I have Sele Elisha Dasham. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, Joyce.
How are you doing? How are you doing, Sele?
I'm great, thank you so much.
Well, on a sad note, let's begin with the issue of insecurity that has continued unabated, especially in some communities in Plateau States, talking about Kanam Wase, Mangu Riyom and Birkin Ladi. Like, it's a sad one. I've been thinking, like, could this be some form of conspiracy? Why has this attack continued unabated? Like, people come on bikes, like, in large number, and then they kill, they burn houses, burn properties, and then they go without a single arrest. And then in situations where you find out that some few individuals are being arrested, you don't care anything again. Now, recently, we've been hearing of attacks like in Mangu, some communities in Mangu local government area that even led to imposition of curfew in that areas or in that local government. But yet, even amidst the curfew in Mangu, on Tuesday, 14 persons were killed in another fresh attack. It's a thing of concern. I was just wondering, why will this attack continued like unabated? We are talking about attacks on innocent villagers without any form of provocation. Like, we're talking about one-time killings. Like, I was watching how these people were crying. Like, what have they done? What have they done to deserve that? Like, it's just sad, Sele.
It is unfortunate, Joy. It's very, very unfortunate. In a time where we're expecting to see a lot being done, in a time where we had new service chiefs who have been sworn in by the present president, in a time where we're expecting more from them, and then this, you could liken this to maybe somebody sleeping on his duty or people sleeping on their duty, just like you rightly stated, Joyce. Just on Monday, curfew was set for 24 hours, and then on Tuesday we saw another attack. And it's quite sad, because listening to some of the eyewitnesses and people who were testifying on what actually happened on Tuesday was the fact that they had shooting, and then in a way of trying to protect themselves, they rushed into the church to actually protect themselves, and then the church was burned down. So that was where we had about 11 people or so that died, and then others that died. So right now it tends to be whether they are not even sure, because the cops they have presently are 14, so they're still trying to check if there are other victims that have actually for casualties to all of this. But then let's look at what really is the problem in a time where the primary responsibility of the government is to protect lives and property. And then this killing, if you're going to look at it, Joyce, has been going on and on and on, just like the Plateau State we're looking at, for instance. This attack has been going on even before the present governor was the governor of the state. There was attack in Mangu, attacks in Riom, attack in Birkin Ladi, and then a lot of people have to leave their ancestral land to come down to the urban area when they don't even have anything to hold on to. And so really I'm looking at this whole scenario in a way that what can we do? What is the way forward? Where were the security agency? Letters have been flying, we're coming to attack, and then it tends to look as if the intelligence are not doing something about all of this threat. Sometimes we see this threat coming and then we just take it lightly, and this is not the first time. The same tactics this people use, and then you wonder, are we not supposed to outsmart these people by now to know that this is the way they would do? Why the same local government or the same community over and over? You ask question, what did you keep in this community that you keep attacking these people? We're talking about one of the local government that people live in peace regardless of their religion. You can go to a household and find that either the brother and the sister, two different religions, but yet they have been living in peace. So what went wrong? And I think we have to go back to the drawing board to actually check out what is the problem. Where did we get it wrong as a state? Where did we get it wrong even as a country? Because we're looking at Plateau State as a case study to other places that insecurity have been taking place. On those state, another attack again, we've been hearing that kidnapping left, right and center. Are we going to look at Kaduna? that for a while right now we really don't know. Some of these things happen and they just don't make it to the papers, but we still have insecurity taking place in various places, and I think it's very important that we revisit this issue again. I'm happy when I heard yesterday the IGP saying that he has declared war on criminals, and he said he's going to really leave a legacy that people feel his impact. So I hope to see him spreading his tentacles to all the police in the various statistics states, including the FCT. Let us see that lives and property are protected, because that is the number one priority. If you fail in that aspect, you're failing every other aspect. I'm going to look at the economy. Without security, we cannot have an economy that is thriving. So I think it's very important that we visit this issue of insecurity, because people cannot keep living in fear in their own land. Nobody is more Nigerian than another. You always say this, and this is something that we have to live by in this country. You have a right to stay in your home without any fear of anybody. Back was then in Plateau State, you could walk the street of Jos, walk the street of anywhere, even by 12 midnight, nothing happens to you. But reverse is the case now, Joyce. At 7 p.m., the entire city is quiet. Everybody's looking for a way to protect his life, to protect his property. So we need to go back to find out what went wrong, and then we need to address it from the roots, because we could, I think over the years or over time, we've just been treating this on the surface. We've not gotten to the root cause of this whole thing. So I think it's important that we go to the root cause to find out what is the problem.
Stella, this continuous attack and killings of innocent villagers goes a long way to tell you the failures on the part of people that are responsible, especially in safeguarding lives and property. Going by the 1999 Constitution, it is the primary responsibility of government to ensure that lives and properties are protected. But day in, day out, what we do is count scores of death, and which is like unacceptable. I think this is time where the security agencies should be diligent, like they should diligently execute their primary responsibilities of protecting lives and properties of Nigerians. When I was like looking at all these and reminiscing on all these attacks that have been going on in Plateau State, Southern Kaduna, and other part of the country, I was just asking myself, there are agencies that year in, year out, humongous amount of money is being budgeted, especially in security and all of that, yet people are being killed, people are being adopted, kidnapped for ransom. There are people that are still languishing like in the hands of these kidnappers. You can't walk down the streets, you can't travel. Like, it got are the days that people travel for leisure. Now you are taking a risk that people will say the risk is greater than the reward. This is what you are embarking on. When people hear your traveling family members, they are not rejoicing. They just can't wait to hear that, oh, I have arrived this place safe and sound. Can we rise up to our primary responsibility? I talked about the fact that if a government failed in his primary responsibility, especially as regard protecting of lives and property, then you have failed. You have failed woefully, because you cannot come and be counting achievements when people are counting lives of loved ones that they have lost. Think about the 7-month-old child that is now an orphan, that doesn't even have the knowledge of who a mother is, the mother care, and the father is now, mothers have been turned to widows, the husband to widowers, and all of that. Children and can now relate to the reality of insecurity and all of that. It's uncalled for. These are things that we see on the news growing up far from us. But today, a child as young as year 2, 3, 4, 5 years can tell you about continuous attack in their community and all of that. It's a sad reality that we must deal with it. And just like the governor of Plateau State said, enough is enough. We want to see the security agencies rising to their responsibility. When you look at the continuous attack in Plateau State, some communities and local government of Plateau State, you can't help but to allocate it to economic, political, and even social factors. There are a lot of things that are involved. Plateau State, like we all know, is a land that is blessed. And then why is it that from this local government to that local government, we are not even seeing proactive measures? People go on social media and say, oh, when we're done with this place, we are going to this place. And yet we don't do anything. You don't see any measures in place to handle that as it is right now. In some communities of Bokri Ladi, the people are saying, we no longer want military again. Why? Because it's looking like some form of conspiracy. True. Because if a military or some military officers will be there, and then they will even visit the community in the morning, they go around, and then in the night attack is being perpetrated, you can't question the people's thought. So even though we know that there are some restrictions as regards their operation in terms of using the guns and all of that, but it's just uncalled for that day in, day out. Imagine that even amidst curfew, another attack is being perpetrated, nobody is being arrested. So we hope that we won't be having issues of complacency, especially in the area of military. Right now, as we speak, we have new service chiefs, we have a new IGP. We expect that there will be synergy. This is not time for them to be fighting themselves. We've seen scenarios where DSS, EFCC are fighting, which is a display of shame as far as I'm concerned. And then it is not time for military to blame police to blame military and all of it. It's time to come together and see how they can avert all of this. They can come up with proactive measures to bring an end to this attack. Plateau State as a state doesn't have the power to give instructions to security agencies. It can only manage the situation. All our security architecture, of course, is in the control of the federal government. We hope that the federal government, we've seen how that recently the governor of Plateau State had a meeting with the president, and he was hopeful about the meeting and all of that. So we hope that we'll see it in practical terms. We'll see that Plateau people are being protected, not just in Plateau State. We'll also see Southern Kaduna. We see that people are safe even in their hometown. The over 30,000 people just in Plateau State that are being displaced, being returned back to their ancestral land. Let's be deliberate, especially as regards protection of lives and properties of the citizens. Again, Sele, on salary increase, the Revenue Mobilization and Fiscal Allocation Commission is proposing 114% pay increment for public officers, and this is a news that has generated a lot of argument, a lot of debate in some sector of the country. People are saying, oh, this is insensitive to even the plight of the country right now. This is insensitive to even the economic realities. You know that right now people are facing like hardship because of the removal of fuel subsidy. We've seen conversation about cushioning the effect and all of that. And again, at the FCA are saying that they are proposing 114% pay increment for public officers in a time where people have been clamoring for cutting the cost of governance, and this is what Nigerians are faced with. The beneficiaries are supposed to be the president, the vice president, governors, deputy governors, ministers, commissioners, special advisors, legislators, and all this is in line with Section 84 and Section 124 of the 1999 Constitution. We saw how that the chairman of the Revenue Mobilization and Fiscal Allocation Commission talked about the fact that this is long overdue. The last time that they reviewed the salaries of public office holders is way back 2007. That's like 16 years back, and so it's actually timely, something that the last administration has actually started. But my concern is, at what point are you bringing this decision? The issue of even bringing palliative to cushion the effect of fuel subsidy removal has not gained any direction as we speak right now. Trekking is becoming a new normal for Nigerians. People are finding it very difficult to even eat, and then you're coming up with something like this. They say wisdom is profitable to direct. If we want this country to work, then we must apply wisdom. We must apply understanding. If really we want this country to work, imagine. Well, I don't really blame all the reactions, all the arguments, all the debates because of the economic realities that we are faced in. Well, let me get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, you know, Joyce, we have to look at what is ideal and what is the reality on ground. Of course, it's ideal that you review this increment every 5 years. And the question a normal or a common Nigerian will ask you, why didn't you do it before now? And questions will be asking, why is it that the common man has to be the one sacrificing over and over? We will recall that when the president said he was removing the fuel subsidy, he said he understands the plight of the Nigerian man. But the question now will be, do you really understand what I am going through? This is a question a normal Nigerian will ask. And just like you're saying, of course, if you should ask the revenue, you will actually tell you that they are only doing their job. But then you begin to ask questions, what happened for those past 60 years that you didn't do it? And another question that any Nigerian would like to ask is that who said that the increment has to be upward? Why can't it be downward if we're talking about cutting the cost of governance? Why not let's look at our, selfless leaders saying that because of what is happening on ground, we want to possibly reduce the allowances we're receiving. Because I was going through and I also listened to the interview of the chairman, and he said that the salary of a senator, for instance, is 1 million naira. And he said annually the salary of the president is 7.6 million. I took the liberty to actually divide this by 12. So we're talking about over 600,000 naira per month to the president. That is just his salary, not looking at other allowances that he's permitted to get. And then, according to the chairman, the president is one of the lowest salary, talking about other leaders in other countries. But then when we want to compare our country with other countries, let us look at what is happening presently. On whose detriment? Where is the revenue you are
Of course,
hoping?
it's at the detriment of the 133 million Nigerians
Of
that
course,
are living in
Joyce,
poverty.
because if we keep saying we want to sacrifice, and then we're having about 133 million Nigerians living, we're talking about more than half of the population.
And
of
Sele, it goes a
Nigeria.
long way to show that people that are at the hems of affairs have no idea
Of really
the
what is
hardship
happening.
that Nigerians are actually faced with. Because if you are abreast with the reality on ground, then you won't be coming up with such decision. You won't be proposing that. Why didn't you propose it in line with the reducing the poverty rates or education, improving our educational sector? What about the health sector and all of that? We are not even talking about allowances. This is just an increment on the basic salary. And they say it has nothing to do with the allowances, not forgetting that some of these allowances are in line, are percentages of the basic salary. So at whose detriment? Like, I think we need leaders that will know. Leadership, I think, is about service. It should be about service. If we can cut the cost of governance, if we can make governance less attractive, then I think we will be able to deal with the issue of corruption. We're able to deal with the issue of these do or die affairs that we always see our politicians exhibit. You see people going from one position to the other like it's a right, it's a fundamental human right for them.
Just the question right now would be that we could recall that Serap said they needed the pension of ex-governors, who most of the ex-governors are now senators, they're not House of Representatives, and even Senate President as we speak. And these are people while on seat actually signed a life pension. Of course, we have other states that have stopped the pension of ex-governors. So you're going to look at, for instance, in a state where we have an ex-governor who was a one-time head of state, so he's receiving a pension as a head of state, pension as an ex-governor, pension as a maybe military or Air Force personnel, pension as a senator. You begin to count how many pension will this person be receiving. Yet we have Nigerians that even at the local government area are still receiving 18,000 minimum wage. And then listening to the chairman, he was actually saying the fact that the civil service, that they have been reviewing their salary every 5 years. For the past 16 years or so, they have reviewed their salary. How many percentage have we reviewed it? We're looking at an allowance, or we're looking at the minimum wage that was 7,500, then 18,000, then 30,000 naira. And right now there's a back and forth on the 200,000 that Labour is actually pushing for. So questions will be that, why would you want to push the civil servants, would I say, the negotiation 8 weeks? And then we are having a recommendation coming for our leaders who have sworn an oath to serve Nigeria. We remember when the president and his wife said they do not need the wealth of Nigeria, that they are wealthy enough. So that means for every leader that went there, you have enough to take care of yourself. You just want to take care of Nigeria. But from the way things are moving, Joyce, I'm sorry to say we don't see that going. And I just hope that we begin to see that, even though, yes, this has not yet been passed into law yet, they're still going to be sitting by the legislature to look into this. I just hope that they would temper justice with mercy at the end of the day, looking at this thing. Because at the end of the day, they should remember that when you retire, you will still come back to the local government area. And then the things that you left will still be the same way it is. We're still looking at local government autonomy that has not been passed by some state. So a lot of things actually is questionable at this moment. So we hope, truly, Joyce, we hope that when this bill is being at the table of the president, he will really thoroughly look into this, increment of salary and see that at the end of the day, it's really, really not justice to the masses.
Indeed, this, if you ask me, this is really provocative, this is insensitive, this is even unfair to the current realities that Nigerians are facing. Yes, we know the law provides, it's just the primary responsibility of the Revenue Mobilization Fiscal Allocation Commission to actually review. But like you asked the question, why can't the review be downward? Why is it upward, considering the economic situation? Like, let's see that leaders go into government to serve, not to exploit on the people. We are talking about 133 million people living in poverty, more than half of the population. We should be thinking about this set of people. What about the people that have been captured, like people that are not in their ancestral home because of this insecurity? Are we thinking of them at all? What about the students that spend 6-7 years in school when they are supposed to be spending 4 years? Are we actually thinking of them? Leadership is supposed to be about the people, it's supposed to be about service, and that is what Nigerians want to see in reality. It should be about consideration, and that is why I said earlier on that it looks like people that are at the helms of affairs are not in tune with the reality of what Nigerians are faced with. And no wonder when people are elected into positions, they just go and stay in Abuja. I don't even think that the constitutional constituents office that they're even supposed to have and operate in their constituency is even in existence. It's after 4 years that people go back, and it still bounce back to Nigerians until we are up and about with prioritizing things that are important to us, loving our countries and ensuring ensuring that the right people occupy such position. But if we don't get the right people, if we elect people based on some nepotic reasons, then we'll continue to get bad leaders that will only come up with policies that will favor them. Like you said, this is subject to the executive approval. It's not yet approved, but a lot of people recently have been talking about the goodwill of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He shouldn't spoil that by assenting to that. So this is something that he should actually critically look into it. He should look at the reality, economic reality, as good as fundamental as it is to actually the public office holders, or it is something that should be critically looked into, not something that you just go quick into signing. Like we said, on the palliative to cushion the effect of fuel subsidy removal, it doesn't even have a direction right now. Sitting upon sitting, committees upon committees, nothing is being had upon. So first thing first, let's put the welfare of Nigerians in front. Let's put the interest. If we're there to serve people, let's serve and not exploit them. I think that is what Nigerians are actually looking up to the government to do. Let's hope that at the end of the day, people will actually applaud the president for not assenting to that, or for not hearing some advice of some individuals that want to pursue their personal interests and all of that. Our time is actually fast spent, Sele.
Yeah, Joyce. Well, just to round up this whole show, I just hope that our leaders will go back to the pledge where he said, I promise to serve Nigeria, my country, with all my strength, to be faithful, loyal, and honest. And I hope that I see that loyalty going down to, taking a look at how the masses are living and then doing something about that.
Thank you so much, Stella. It's always a pleasure doing this with you. Great analysis as always. To our viewers out there, thank you so much for staying with us. Nigeria is a great country. Together we can make it work. And if we want to build this country and make it great, it must be on the basis of understanding the time that we are in. And this is the much we'll take on Nigeria now. Until we come your way next time, you have a blessed weekend.